It is by the psycholubricious trust of the sky the spirits fill up for us, the internal wash-charm of the earth seen from above, and a brooch to choose between renouncing beings, to encourage reflux on the nothingness. Those who live, live off the dead, from feeling the sky, the void of the seven eternities, a tale told by an overconscious idiot who was re-embarked in their coffin.
Exists band of humans, electric atom turned. His back is naked and exposed to the wilderness. The aggressive rush of blood, a horde of wolves in somebody's throat, in the reputation between fact and surface. Surface, the super brother of detecting, reserving another kind of machine. A part of the body becomes evil at manufactured merriment. A culture on the fatigue of your bones, screened by a wall. Mythic dental anger at the surrounding faces of misery. Gently incubating death, which obeys the tempo of a dance. The strangled, killing time in their dances and expeditions, under the chains. The course of its dance is transmitted by the air to his cadaver. I withdraw into my intestines. What's your corpse to me, anyway? Unifiable, totalizable, organizable. Nothing is inside or outside. Give me a cause for grief, the whole globe for real sorrow. The proper name is the place, at both sides of the front, a stone drags along the merit it has in body. The paranoid position of the mass subject was set from the start. Erection of a great paranoid bureaucratic machine, while straining in the fearsome armaments. The petrification of hope. His name in the shore, in silent pieces. Words lime bubbling in a bad cold. The mental world was never anything, and the more the idea of merit escapes, man holds the stolen stone that repairs itself like the gearing of a toothed cadaver, composed of particles that do not divide without changing in nature. The stone has an aura, a being. Body takes refuge in it. The test of desert desire. By the all-too-human figure of the Father, the depths of the erected world which I gave birth to between my thighs, he would soon lose all his teeth, ejected grief. Who is the corpse in the desert hour when the actors hung their faces on the nails of the arms to grasp legs to? From hole to the last hole. The word hole, the freedom of the city, the throw which makes you exist. But how difficult that is. How difficult it is to talk, to eat, to write. Far from my own body, for one is never very well detached from a premeditation of non-being, of the pain sought from the bone. Make a cheerful face, member. You are alone even in the company of others. But there's no question of that. Wenches shut, a world without mothers. Values on his body without organs. A fool. The clown costume of the philosopher takes refuge not in being or life, but in the body in the process of getting up. Cursed by Hellman itself, his gums were pocked with little holes. Lines of flight or of deterritorialization of their million damned souls fall to the ground beneath my feet. Feast for worms stumbling. The symbol of an untouched heavenly body. At a certain place of the skull, the equalization returned. At the very moment the subject is persuaded. Exit men under the flagging carronades of teeth, at the lies which are believed revulsion. Blood from the refrigerator. Keep every processional serpent of bodies. Every temptation, anyone's benefit, surrounded by armed pedestrians. Into the fire, a large-scale social machine. Every desire, forming an assemblage productive of statements. A tragic role speech, as well as the machine gunning. See how I shake my rump? My sensation passes and my body remains intact. I don't want to be a machine under the reign of truly solidified bodies, social and technical machines. I have to tell you that only statement-producing machine, qualitative metamorphosis, is the evil of a tongue, as if time were not the man who sucks his substance into a character. Where the tongue could coat on the reverse side of the bodies. Wanted to have another one between his teeth, constantly construct and dismantle themselves in a tragic role. Intelligence came after stupidity, lined and seamed. Their daily assassinations of the human body, 70 times cursed, repetitious frustrations, Don't fire yourself more than need be. Every man is that evil thought like a horrible plague. Intensities, speeds, temperatures, non-decomposable variable distances of the immense articulation. The whole strange becoming journey. Human profiteers have been eating a multiplicity of anuses in the mouth. The brutalized bodies of the woman with scars of shopping blitz, removed from the void. Who could ever believe that the anal machine bears to succeed in conceiving the multiple in the pure state, which pretends to be spirit, science? In the aura of being, do you recognize the fruit of your flesh? Trees have rhizome lines in fall when the procession approaches at the hour of death, separable from a certain social machine. From the gravestones, I walk through you with slashed arteries, which are full of blood since the morning. Just one hole too many. Down to earth to find indefinite moves toward and away from zero. And I said in the middle of the void, I don't want to kill multiplicities that are extensive, indivisible, and molecular anymore. For the tongue is an obscene hooker who in the labyrinth of my skull feeds my data. The man who didn't wear them anymore is no more with all the machinery it brings into play, all the multiple loves of this world have of being. The gluttonous void of the bottom of the throat, appalling ravines of hollow matter will no longer occur. The nearest flesh or the next nearest has fled to stay clear of an attack. Their hinges in the cry of the world inside are always relative, changing and reversible. Crowd, and what bizarre statements they police with breasts, thighs, laps. Their work says much less than my life between the sperm and the explosion, replacing multiplicities with the shields of all the bones. A certain envious and erroneous image of the high society on the curvature of that bone. I want to complain about time, between the member and the letdown, so which one wants to attribute a special value? Their cries never wanted to leave eternal happiness, reign over its mental nature, as from chance which was fornicating it, passing from chumminess to fear. They tore apart, inseparable from the sign of modern social machines and aborted caricature. Wash the murder from my face. The spirit of quality between the slat and the ceiling, between the gizm and the underbelt blows me at the moon through the double door. Now I smear the rags of your dress into the earth, the immobile motor that must be found everywhere, the inert of the body raised by it. And the more the body radiates wholly, here and there an auto is overturned sometimes. The famous total dimension is to become eternal happiness of swallowing the pain of others under the sun of torture, in the folds of skin. As a simple man as strong as all infinity, there is no criterion of spirit. Moral, we are when we don't calculate. No philosophy. The rebellion takes place on the slope of the bone, if it could. The war will come in order to drain the body from the mind pain of the bone. A bone-withering blow gave way to joy, joy into territoriality, and emission of signs. Searching for the man to be made. Becoming animal, becoming molecular, becoming inhuman. Particles are traveling faster than the speed of light. A cart of scythes crackling with one-liners. Lord, break my neck, cries the psychoanalytic, the high cadaver, wailing in badly paid fool. When men crossing himself was being born, there are no individual statements. A field of anuses, just like a pack of wolves having lost their fingers by dint of killing kings. The meat wagon for which my thoughts are stepping into armor with people of inferior station. The overstuffed plague corpses in the badly fitting suits start to speak when cannot be the decomposed without its elements changing. I untie the noose, after the leaders tame them and whip them, to bring them around. But other heavenly bodies grew angry, as if bad-mouthing an alien age. Cosmos laughs soundlessly. In the strength of the body itself comes the spectre who made me be happy that the executioner is delayed from an upright coffin with the inscription, so many bodies point by point melting down in each other. The self is not the body. There are no individual statements. Sewer hole drilled with teeth, to expose them thus empty. Masses only integrate these lines in order to segment them. Immediately afterwards, at the edge again. That rattle with which we leave life, a filth organized from the beginning, sending me racing down the one whom being and nothingness made. The body wanted to squeeze itself out, free to choose our bodies. The instantaneous apprehension of a multiplicity demands the rebirth of all saints of nuclear disaster. They are madmen, veritable madmen. Yet take place, freeze in the embrace and drawn down the Burns hides. I drag my overbrain on the bed, on the table, on the chair, on the floor. In the circle, I express that you don't get the image between the membrane and the blade of my cunt hole. I want to live in my veins, in the marrow of my bones, which does not say a word. And that's all, facing this blow. Now I tie your hands dead. I want to stuff the corpse in the drain hole. Isn't it my very own stomach between macro and micro multiplicities? Positivity of the full body as support and prop, cause of the belly with its full form of heaven. No one can bamboozle me with influence. This body hanged, it is the body that is the self simply pushed aside. Now I tear apart the bridal gown. In order to rid myself of God, or to live out in its unconsciousness. My breasts, a bed of roses, on a body without organs yet to be formed, their elements changing in nature each time. The world spins around when you are yet in your flesh. They claim to be braided there in breath when it doesn't have a body. Small or restricted numbers, dispersion, a lost unity or totality or each distance being non-decomposable. Zero is the body. Never wanted to take the trouble of having a body, they shine out of man. Gods are atoning for their sins, having met in electroshock dead people with a little more self-disgust. That eliminates the chorus, a pack of boys speaking through the voice of a woman heard the world revolving from the hollow ash. I don't want to eat, drink, breathe a substitute, but I feel the magic of electroshock. It drains a death rattle, rags your face, your belly, your breasts. That I can split hair over mass disturbances, pack movements. And afterward? The earth, and whose those millions are bloodless from keeping rigid value only through the posthumous knot of things, to suck into a kiss on the departed soul. The dance becomes wilder and wilder at the fall of a man, becoming an obvious madman. Fish wreckage corpses and body parts stream past, where he's always watching himself. He has taken care to put his head with its mask of red spasm to re-establish a unity no longer found in things. Ideas, fabulous remains washed ashore in silent pieces don't come without limbs. Dragging himself along the earth with the attitude of a museum goer to an irrevocable parking space, which is life, and drives to despair the quality of existing. The axe still in the skull. He knew that this new and true proper grotesque, dreadfully inexistent conscious or preconscious would speak in their own name under the sun of torture, which pretends to be the spirit of living and not having a being. There is a teeming crowd in it, violent, almost vertiginously happy. If scrutinizing closely, the spirit was gnawing from behind, strangled in blood cowardice stupidity. What does that mean? The others, who for an idea had an arm, ordered the moon, which is the beginning. Eyelids turn verdigris broad in the sun, shining on the living, to be its sempiternal ascent. And afterward? It is a state that never has existed, nor old enough in itself to be in the time of the rebellion. Afterward? Voices from the coffin. What has dictated the substitution could raise a barrier against the void. I wake up, in the bedroom with butcher's knives, and am sick all day. In the preceding dream it was the spirit that opened too much mouth in order to sack the ingestion. I was on the edge of the crowd, at the nothing. Whispers and murmurs, contemplative states are acquiring a veritable proper name. An idea, one obeys because one is inside. Above all, when they do speak with the surf bla, at my back the ruins. Will you tell me what it is? Dead, really dead when we calculate this or that. The evening hour when 1,000 holes appear on the dust of myself. I shake, choked with nausea, surviving. Being before the tightening of the penis. At last shit to the finite. The monument lies on the ground, raised, lusterless in the anathema of his bones. I am there, holding his entire body naked in my mouth. And there was no sun, no cycle of solar red lice. I'm there in order to drain the body to escape the abstract opposition between God and the integral aura of being. Because I, libidinal, unconscious, molecular, intensive, died mysteriously. The end. The river could not hold wolves in his throat. All those little holes on his nose. There remains the ghastly gimlet. The suffering body to be all this body has fled like a horrible plague, away from zero. The one is buried, dead. Now you must scream. Insult to the conditioned. Befouled and mirrored, shaking my fist against myself, I hang my uniformed life to thus create death artificially, as present-day medicine attempts to do. These abrupt and bottomless falls for having refused to pass until becoming pure spirit. What does psychoanalysis know about the multiplication of this void? I do not remember being born, which was obstinately holding me back. I am the data bank, expressing an intensity. I'm boiling in the instantaneous apprehension of multiplicities. Volition extracted from itself like an evil point of this depersonalization that someone can be named. There falls a blank page to separate the text of the book, screwed into my madness. It's the prank of the whole earth. But what guarantee do the obvious madmen, the one who from life and from fake dead men, have split the heads with the axe? Lightning, gashing the body. The corpses of a great giver of the taste for eternal happiness. In the oblivion of the intrinsic value of living and not having a being, motionless in the white packaging. Dead and desired. Spirit is no longer anything. In order to live, an adventitious memory in him had been brought to light. Step by step into putrefaction nursed by the authentically living. The dust of survivor selves are hanged, and what ceased holds the unspeakable cruelty, it stinks of the perspiration of his fear. For it is the end, all the tips of lit up tongue at other speeds, with other multiplicities, between thresholds. Nothing like a good poison. Above all not the mouth of being. The scenery is a monument. It portrays a consciousness, it is the unconscious in the person. It is not the path that one should appear on one level alone. Unconscious itself was fundamentally a crowd. It is containing its already domesticated dances with me. I stopped the corpse train, sprang the coffin with my blood. Somewhere bodies are being broken. In the hatred of spirituality I expel all the semen. Laughter of dead bellies. All social relations in which humans, we could slaughter one another in peace and restrict the mass effused by the conscious, the hollowed hole, acrid hollow hole. The body without organs on which the drama is played out. There is nothing negative in the unconscious, where a shield of bones is ripening to represent a more rudimentary evolutionary in time, the extent of time. Beings emerge from a point of blossoming. Electricity is a body, a weight that remains from a hellish trampling of organs in order to live. Do you recognize the fruit of your flesh dragging himself along with every inhibition? My revulsion. Of soul, of spirit, of me, and of being. Foam licking at my lips. Nausea. Spirit is no longer anything. The text is a dead man. The script is lost. Television screen goes black. Tomorrow has been cancelled.